Today is Sunday, Chavdal Kislev. Seeing as it's Chavdal Kislev, it means Chanukah starts tonight. We're going to light the first candle. So I was thinking about that today, because nothing happens by accident. So the fact that Monday begins Chanukah means that there is something to be said about Chanukah starting on Monday for this year. Now, we know Hashem created the world in 7 days. And these 7 days are compared to the 7 midos: Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Chayid, Yesod, Malchus. So Sunday we begin with Chesed, we begin with kindness, and Monday begins Gevurah, severity. And that's why it says Mondays are a difficult day, not just because the workday starts on Monday. It literally brings down that since Gevuras were started on Monday, Gevuras were created or brought into being on Monday. That's why Mondays have a certain harshness to them. So now you know why I hate Mondays. But it's also Chanukah. Chanukah talks to the very the Hashgcha Pratis, the very core, which is why we say that of all of the Yom Tovim, Chanukah is one of the most special, and that it won't ever be bottled even once Mashiach comes. Now there's a question: what's greater, birth or something at the zenith, the height of its grandeur? So, for instance, questions asked about the moon. When is the moon? Where do you see the power of the moon, or which one's more powerful? When the moon first gets born, when you first see the new slither of the moon, or on the 15th of the month when the moon is the brightest, when the moon is the strongest. And we say that the greater chidush, the more powerful idea is when you have birth, when something has nothing before. There's total darkness, and then out comes light from that total darkness. That's greater than when the light shines in its full glory. So in this case would be the first night of Hanukkah versus the eighth night of Hanukkah. The eighth night of Hanukkah, Taki, you have the most light. But the first night of Hanukkah comes from the darkness. There's nothing before it. And we have a Monday, and a Monday is Severity. Severity is as well. It's contraction and concealment. And even with that, we still have this notion, we still have this concept of bringing light into that darkness. So what does it say for us? What does it say for us today, tonight, for Hanukkah? So, we know every mitzvah is a relationship with Hashem. Every mitzvah is a bonding with Hashem. We also know bonding with Hashem and bonding with the fellow Yid is the same exact concept, essentially. In fact, since we just had Year Chanukah, the Alter Rebbe used to say, what's greater, Avas Hashem or Avas Yisrael? The Alter Rebbe would say, Avas Yisrael. Why? Because when you love your fellow Jew, when you love your beloved, that's a stronger connection. And we know this. To a parent, more important than being kind to me is being kind to my son or daughter, to my child. Every parent understands that. And we should also understand that when you truly love somebody, their well-being is more important. So to Hashem, loving another Jew is more important to him than loving Hashem himself. But of course, both are important. It doesn't mean just do the Avos Yisrael and God, never mind. But anyway, I digress. So every single mitzvah is about connection. Every single mitzvah is about relationship. And we have to take these lessons which Hashem gives us, these Hashgcha Pratis, which it is Hashgcha Pratis that Chanukah starts on a Monday night. Even though we have a calendar and everything is prearranged and, like it's just following a cycle, it's a calculation, but it's not true. Because, there's a story brought down, or, a concept that all of the miracles in the world were preset from Sheishis Mei Bereshis. Hashem set up that all these miracles should happen. There's one opinion which says that Kriyas Yam Suf didn't happen specifically for the Yidden. It was set, it was like a timer. Hashem put a timer within creation that at this and this time, and this is this date, the sea is going to split. And it wasn't done specifically for the Yidden. The Yidden happened to be there. And the Baal Shem Tov says, Chas v'shalom, to say such a thing, that Stamazai wasn't, it was just like, it was all just a calculation. It was all just preordained or whatnot. And the Baal Shem Tov said, and even if you want to argue that this is the way Hashem, Hashem works within the bounds of nature, and this is the way Hashem set up nature, that, nature the sea should split at this and this time, the fact that the Yidden were standing there, the fact that the Jews left Egypt and were standing at that very, very spot, right when they were supposed to, right there you see all the Hashgcha Pratis you need. So the miracle was that they were in the right place at the right time, So same here. The fact that Hanukkah starts on a Monday, the fact that we have the birth of Hanukkah on a Monday, that we're seeing a lightness, we're seeing light come from darkness, and not just any darkness, from a severe darkness, from the strongest darkness. Monday is the harshest day of the week. That tells us something, and it has to teach us a lesson on Avodas Hashem. And I was thinking, what is that? I really believe, and I think, this is truly the Rebbe's whole push. Our Avodas Hashem today is Avos Yisrael. Really what it is. That's our Avodah. And that's why the ultimate Avos Yisrael you could do for somebody, is teach them about Yiddishkeit. Give them a neshama, or give them food for their neshama. So that's why the Rebbe made a whole shturim of going on shlichus and teaching and going on avtzayim. It's what we're here for. It's what Hashem wants from us today. So, oftentimes, we stop talking to people, either because chas v'shalom we get into a fight, or because we just, haven't spoken to them in a while, just, we fell out of touch, we fell out of contact, etc., etc. But regardless of the reason. And for now, you guys just aren't talking. Bringing the light into Hanukkah is you being the one to pick up the phone and give them a call. You being the one to remind them, send them a text, send them a voice note. Hi, I remember you exist. And I want to know how you're doing. I'm curious. And from there, everything else is much easier. The hardest part of the fire is just starting that tiny little flame. But once that's there, it's much easier to build on top of that. Sitting there with sticks and twigs and twiddling and rubbing and scratching and knocking a whole storm to make that first little spark. But that's our Avodah today. When you sit by the menorah today, I know you're supposed to learn and you're supposed to focus on the menorah and everything. Make it a point, if not to call, then at least to send a text. One mitzvah of Avos Yisrael. Somebody you would appreciate you reaching out to them, ask them how they're doing, and that's the light. That's the wonderful light, the birth of the light of Hanukkah into the severity of Monday. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful Hanukkah.